line, and then our final new segment of the week. Jay will have his own eventually, but he's not here.
when he
Um,
gets here.
Adam, we're gonna do Adam's daily dose. Remember we used to do that. So this is gonna be
Yes.
Adam's daily dose. He's gonna find a couple of daily bargains, perhaps some prop bets that he wants you to know about and put your money on. And I assume Dave has his money on his bet, and I'm assuming Adam will have his money on these bets.
Yeah. So here's the deal, guys. I'm gonna give you a couple guys that can if you're setting a daily lineup on Fan I'm currently looking at FanDuel at the moment.
That's gonna be the
But
official sponsor of
you
the podcast. We'll go FanDuel.
yes, you can go on FanDuel, you can go DraftKings. They're usually pretty similar. Um, but I prefer FanDuel, and for
So
those
do
of
I.
you guys listening now, just know that I'm using FanDuel right now. I got a couple guys here that are pretty cheap, and if you're looking, if you fill out your roster and you got all kinds of big name guys, you got Josh Allen as your quarterback, he's probably pretty expensive. You got, Jamar Chase, who's probably pretty expensive, right? So this guy is going to be somebody that I'm looking at right now, and that's Jackson Smith and Jigba for Seattle this week. He's fairly cheap at FanDuel. They list him at 5,300. Um,
Real cheap.
with without DK Metcalf last week, he had a great game. And now with Tyler Lockett coming up with this hamstring injury, hamstrings are tricky, guys. You never know when they're going to be re-aggravated, this and that. Um, and after Gardner Minshew put up the numbers that he did against the Cleveland defense, um, I have JSN as one of my value guys.
I like
You,
it. I like
you
it
can throw
because
him in there pretty cheap.
I'll tell you, I like it because 5,300. It's cheap. I don't know the numbers, but people like Jamar Chase is probably 11,000. Like
Um, I'll tell you right now, Jamar Chase is at 8,500.
who's number one though? Like that's
Number one is Tyreek Hill at 9,500.
okay. So he's almost half the price, right, of
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, and you'll save a lot of money in that aspect. And what I
Yeah.
like about what you said about this situation, and I'm sure Dave agrees with me. Yeah, he had a pretty good game without DK Metcalf, but JSN isn't DK Metcalf. JSN is
No, he's
Tyler
not.
Lockett. So if Tyler
He's a
Lockett,
little bit more along the Tyler Lockett aspect, and they're kind of similar builds. They have similar speed. But like I said, with DK coming back this week, but with the questionable tag with the hamstring that Lockett carries into this week, I know Gino it didn't play all that well against Arizona last week, um, but this week I like him to look for JSN a little bit more, especially if Tyler Lockett can't go. I mean, we saw the ridiculous catch that Bobo made on the sideline there in the end zone. Um, but he targeted both of those guys just the same. I have another guy here for you guys too. One more, and we're looking at Jalen Warren this week. Um, Jacksonville has a pretty decent run defense, but if Najee Harris keeps struggling, Jalen Warren is the guy to go after. Um, excuse me. He's only 5,800, so if you're looking for another guy in there, Jalen Warren has my vote this week as well.
you don't have any concerns. I know he's a more value play, but I mean Najee didn't necessarily struggle this last week. So
No, he didn't, but he hasn't been that great throughout the entire season, and it looks like they're going more towards a split in the running back room, um, which is something that Pittsburgh has really never done before. So seeing that now, it I'm okay with Jalen Warren for a value guy. If you need someone to throw in there, nothing crazy.
absolutely.
Um,
You got anything to say about those guys, Dave? I kind of was dominating that.
I like the JSN play. Yeah, I mean, I think those are pretty solid options. And guys, like the reason why we're doing this is if you play daily, you need these guys. You know what I mean? They're 80% of the people have Tyreek Hill in their lineup. 80% of the people have ponied up to put Christian McCaffrey in their lineup. It's these guys that you're stretching on, taking chances on, filling in those cheaper slots that are gonna set you apart from everybody else, and that's how you win the dough in those leagues.
Bro, I love filling cheap slots. I love it. Oh, it's my fucking favorite. Oh my god. All right, so just a little clarification for people. If you don't do the daily thing, and I know it's like I do it a lot, Adam does a lot. I think Dave does it a lot. I assume Dave does them daily.
Yeah.
What you guys need to know is there's a bunch of different options. There's these big like conglomerate of like millions of people in it, small entry fee. If you're probably gonna lose, but by some chance, if you fucking win, you're gonna win a lot of money. In one of those major tournaments a couple of years ago on Christmas Eve, I won $2,500, and that is, I mean, for like us middle class type people, that's awesome. That's pretty life changing money. There's a chance you could win $1 million, right? But I mean, it's all low. So how that works is it's it's a salary cap. So it's like you get your lineup. You only got X amount of money to spend. If you got it pulled up, Adam, I don't know how much it is, but you get X amount.
You get $60,000 on FanDuel, and that's to fill out an entire roster, which is why
two
these guys
two running
have
back,
their
2 receivers.
Yep, it's quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex.
And
So these guys that I just named are more along the lines of a cheap flex position start on these daily lineups.
So let's just give them a bit of information. $60,000 to spend. How much money is Christian McCaffrey?
Christian McCaffrey is $10,200. So that is a sixth of your cap, and it's very hard to fill rosters when you have these big name guys. So these are the types of guys that you're going to be looking for.
Exactly, and for more daily content, guys, that's a full roster. I like to play the single game one. So basically, how that works is on all the night games, I'll do it tonight for Thursday. I'll do it Sunday night game. I'll do it Monday night game. It's a lineup of 5 or 6 people.
It's five players, and you're the player that you start on top gets a 1.5 times boost.
Yes, he's your MVP.
They call it your MVP or your superstar. Or across different apps, they call it different things.
So if he gets 10 points regular, since he's your MVP, he's got 15 points.
Correct.
So that's what makes a difference. And the only rules are there's a salary cap, but you have to start one player from both teams. That's it. You could have four Bills and 1 Tampa Bay Buck. But it's tough because you have to have the right player in the MVP. You have to be perfect to win these big fucking contests. But if you like the daily stuff and you're learning, if you follow our TikTok, Fantasy Football Bros on TikTok, or if you follow our YouTube, Fantasy Football Bros on YouTube, I post my lineup every night game, and I'm on a 3-game winning streak of doubling my money. I know that doesn't sound a lot, but doubling your money is one thing. I only bet $9, so I only won $18. But if I bet $100, I would have won $200, right? So it's just like, if you want to see how to get your feet wet in it, in these single games, they're fun. They're a little easier to navigate, and you can look at my lineup. You could play my lineup. If you play my lineup, you could play my lineup and win exactly what I win or lose. Not going to win every time, but the single game lineup is how I won the 2,500 a couple of years ago because I was perfect on it, right? So there's some daily advice for you. And Dave, you do the dailies, right?
I do the dailies. I love me some daily stuff. I think it's great. And like I said, it's these guys. It's these different maker guys. So the 1-game lineups are a little bit different where you're kind of limited, but you still need to find those kind of sleepers. But when you're looking at these, you're looking at the 12-game slot spread on Sunday, and you're able to choose a bunch of different guys. It's these guys that are in that 40, that 4,200, that 4,800 range that kind of pop off for. It's like when Nico Collins, you played Nico Collins for $4,200 and he goes for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like that's gonna win you the money. So usually these guys are the guys to look out for. Usually
the winner is the guy that, say, if it was the Seattle game, if somebody started Bobo.
Like right. Correct. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And he's probably pretty cheap too. Let me see if I can let me pull him up really quick. I just closed it out.
Especially for tomorrow night or tonight, the Bills and Tampa. I didn't do my lineup yet, but somebody that would win you the game isn't Stephon Diggs, isn't Josh Allen, isn't James Cook, isn't Mike Evans. The guy that'll win you the game is if you start Deontay Hardy, and Deontay Hardy has 2 touchdowns. If you were brave enough to start Deontay Hardy, Khalil Shakir, Deuce Vaughn, or no, that's Dallas. Keyshawn Vaughn, sorry, the backup running back in Tampa, and if that guy gets a touchdown or somehow gets 2 touchdowns, those are the guys that win the $1 million. It's it's throwing your hat into the air, right? You don't know what you're going to do. So what I like to do, and here's some advice for you guys, is maybe I'll throw one of those deep sleepers in. But one thing I like to put in on every lineup daily, and you can look back at all my lineups, you'll see is I play either a kicker or a defense. And I know that's like not like the coolest thing to do, but like if a defense gets a touchdown or God forbid 2 touchdowns, they got more points than half the people in there. If the teams are shitty and the kicker kicks 5 field goals, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of points that you could. So and not a lot of people start those people, and that's where the difference is. In daily. Everyone's going to have Josh Allen. Everyone's going to have Mike Evans. Like you got to find that difference. I mean, you could go for the deep shot. I kind of like to hedge my bets. I don't think I'm going to win $1 million, but like I'll put a kicker to defense in and maybe win on a $9 bet. Maybe I'll win 200. That's still freaking sweet.
Yeah, so it also depends too. Like this is a full roster, so you get 60,000, and I think with the single game ones you get a little bit less. But Jake Bobo is only 5,100, and in these ones, in the full roster ones, you don't get a kicker, you just get a defense. So looking at the let me find a single game one here. Let's just look for tomorrow night.
And a reminder to everybody at home for the kickers and defense and stuff. You can start whatever. The only rules is salary cap and 1 player on each team.
Correct.
You don't have to start a kicker or defense.
So you get the same starting salary at 60,000 across all of FanDuel. But with with only selecting 5 players, sometimes they adjust the prices accordingly to the players are a little bit more expensive. Like Josh Allen is your most expensive player at 17,500, right? So that's a big chunk of your salary, and keeping that in mind. But like Chaz said, look for those guys that you might not really start, or you might think that somebody might not have in their roster. Yeah, I believe is this. How
much is Deontay Hardy?
So Deontay Hardy, if I'm looking at this game, he's very low, 6,000.
Sure. So that's a 10th of your points, as Josh is almost a 5th of your points of your salary cap. So
the cheapest that they go, like, so 5,000 is the lowest that they go, according to this, and these are all just guys that, like, Kyle Allen's 5,000, but nobody's gonna play him because it's just not gonna happen. On the off chance, I'm not saying that Josh Allen is gonna get hurt, but if he gets hurt during the game and you have Kyle Allen in your lineup just because you were like, hey, I'll take a chance on it, you're looking pretty good for a win there in daily. But it's not really something that you would do anyway, but just for an example, those are the kinds of lineups that win. You just pick that one that is just like one that nobody else would pick, who ends up doing very well.
So, well, hopefully we learned you guys something there. Dave, do you have a like a big win on daily?
Not really a big win. I mean, I've won a couple $100, but I enter into like the $1 million and stuff like that. So, but I mean, I'll usually bet like $20, and I've won a couple $100 a couple times, and that's a good win.
Well, let's give people like some, like, just like when you win $200 in these big contests, you probably finish like 1,486.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like that's like to win $200. Like these have so many people in it. Like it's ridiculous. Adam, do you got a big daily win at all?
No, I'm in the same boat as Dave. I've won a couple $100. My biggest win actually came on so FanDuel used to do a suicide pool, and there'd be a whole bunch of people enter, and you got to pick, and then ultimately whoever was left at the end of the season, after this was back 16 game seasons, not 17. I ended up splitting the prize money, which ended up being like $1,500. Nice. It was me and like 30 other people that were left at the end. So, but that was my biggest win. But I'm in the same boat as Dave. Like I won a couple $100 on daily lineups, but other than that, it's nothing crazy.
Well, since I won 2,500, maybe this should be my segment. No, it was just. And for my $2,500 segment, I just want to say thank you. It was a Christmas miracle because it was Christmas Eve that I won the $2,500. So
that's incredible.
It was a Christmas miracle.
That's a good.
And I remember the game. It was 2 years ago. It was Tennessee Titans on Thursday night. night against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I just always remember that. I just happened to win. All right, so real quick, let's